Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of I Hate It Here, where we spend 1 hour hating the world so you don't have to. It's not going to be an hour, is it, Sam? It's going to be way longer than an hour. It always is, especially when we haven't done them for a while. But let's start right off. I'm not even going to do any small talk or any of that bullshit, right? There's just no point. I mean, you've got nothing to say, have you?
Nah. I never do start it. I was just like, hello. I am here.
Exactly. I've turned up.
Star style, mate. Let's get right in.
Let's get right into the horror of fucking planet Earth and humanity. Let's do it. So, obviously, people know I know Middlesbrough pretty well. I used to live in Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough is an absolute shithole. It's a shithole I have many fond memories of, but it's a shithole all the same. And we like to start I Hate Here with something a little bit lighthearted. Right, as lighthearted as it gets on this show. So let's start by going to Middlesbrough, right, and having a look at this news story. This one is a banger, I believe the kids say. This is a Middlesbrough takeaway brawl started after a man tried to buy some chips, but instead of using money, he decided to use Rizla papers. All right? This was
also known as the least valuable thing known to modern man.
Check it out. I'll read you some of the hearings that happened in Teesside Magistrates Court, which is quite funny, actually. Anyone who lives in Teesside knows that the Teesside Magistrates Court, first of all, it has... I think it's a picture of like a woman like holding like who's meant to be justice, and she's holding up 2 squabbling toddlers outside to represent how justice will intervene. Someone spray painted "fuck off" on it, which
got him,
which is perfect. And also all along that street, including where the court is, that's where all the hookers in Middlesbrough are. So it's a ridiculous place. All right, anyway, I'll read you some of this hearing. The guy involved was called Anthony McLean. So McLean said, "Can I get a portion of chips?" So I asked him for £1.40. That's a good fucking price, by the way.
Not bad.
Not bad. And that was this is the takeaway boss, Shiraz Butt, talking.
Shiraz Butt.
Yeah, Shiraz Butt. What type of wine do you like? Shiraz Butt.
Shiraz Butt.
I like a nice Shiraz. So I do. I'm off to Wrexham to have a shit in the street. Anyway. So it says here, he started getting me the Rizzlers and said they were worth 20p each.
That ain't real.
Right? I said, that is not money.
Oh, he's on to me.
I said, that is not money. It is a cigarette Rizzler. But he said, no, it is money. Moments later, bedlam broke out at the Borough Road
How
chicken
does that
shop.
get into bedlam? How's it
I don't even know.
Bedlam? I'm more interested in that, as if that's been left out.
Okay, well, after they said again that Rizzlers were definitely not money, right, which they're definitely not. It's not like, right, there was this urban myth that used to go around the UK, which was if you ever didn't have money, you could pay with stamps. Do you remember this?
Yeah,
Stamps
I thought that is true. Well, not legal tender, but like, I don't know. I feel like it's more reasonable than Rizzlers. At least they have a tangible value.
Obviously. But you know, I'm not too sure that works either. Like,
maybe
just
at a post office.
Just because it's got the fucking Queen's head on it or something.
Yeah.
You know? But anyway,
you gotta accept that for these chips.
I think
14 stamps equals 1 small chips.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, second class. Second class for chips, first class for a battered sausage. Like.
Sounds like some mad doomsday prepper. You ain't gonna collect currency, bro. We're all gonna be selling stamps when we've fucking got nothing left.
Yeah, it's straight mental. But anyway, someone told him that this obviously applies to Rizzlers. So what happened was, when they said it weren't money, it says, it was then alleged that Mr. McLean attempted to kick and punch Cook Tawfiq Khan after throwing him to the floor. He just came at us very aggressively, like he wanted to fight, added Mr. Butt.
Probably did.
Right? But the solicitor, Paul Dixon, claimed there were discrepancies. in what the duo told police. He claimed the takeaway boss alone had 3 different accounts of the fracas, at one point asking Mr. Butt, "Are you making this up as you go along?"
He had a knife, no, 3 knives, and he was giving me all these digs.
The 999 caller told the operator that it was Mr. McLean, not the takeaway staff, who was the victim, even fearing he'd broken his arm.
Uh-oh.
So, magistrates found Mr. McLean not guilty of 2 charges of assault by beating. So I think reading between the lines, now that it's out of court, we can do that. I think some wacky cunt went into a chicken shop, tried to pay for a portion of chips with Rizzler and got his shit absolutely handed. Got battered like the cod behind the fucking sneeze guard. You know what I mean? Whatever. That's just another day in Borough, that is. Like, that is literally... I've been to that Perfect Chicken shop as well. I've been there on Borough Road. They do an all right doner kebab in there. Just saying. If you want to live the high life, you go to Malone's.
Costs about 470 Rizzlers, oh, mate. It's not cheap.
You're right. Fortunately,
not made of Rizzlers, mate.
Yeah, I had king size silvers. Mate. I was living the dream.
Oh, literally going in a slap in the pack over the table.
You know, king size silvers. What do I get for that?
I don't even think we have change. Go back. Go get the small Rizzlers in the back.
Will you take greens?
No,
not at all. So anyway, right, let's move on to another story. I mean, there's so many, dude. I've literally been going through them all day to make sure we had the requisite amount of horror for an I Hate It here. We'll get rid of that one. Let me just see, because there was oh, here you go. We can file this one under Amy Schumer's Let Herself Go. This is the story about a woman who had accused 15 different men of rape and sexual assault. Didn't happen, though. Completely fucking made up, right? So this is 15 different men, and one of them went to jail for 7 years. 7 years. If you scroll down to the middle photos, you see why I made the joke about Amy Schumer letting herself go a little bit there. You'll see she has got a touch of the Schumers, as it's known in the business. But this is Gemma Beale, 25. Basically made up she'd been assaulted by 15 attackers in 3 years. All right, which, listen, I'm not saying that couldn't happen. You'd have to be really unlucky, though, wouldn't you? To get sexually assaulted 15 times by 15 different people in 3 years. I mean, that alone should set alarm bells ringing. All right? Just saying. Law of probability, law of averages. But basically, she would regularly go to the police, say she'd been groped by strangers, harassed, and even gang raped. And every time, obviously, the narrative, you know, you've got to listen and believe. So the police would investigate these things, and most of them were dismissed out of hand. But one guy was indeed sent to jail for 7 years. 7 years. And completely innocent, it turns out. So I'll read you some of the highlights of what the prosecutor had to say, because finally they decided to take some action against her. There was one case where she told police she'd been sexually assaulted by 4 men, and she'd recognized one of the 4 of them as being the same man who had assaulted her in another allegation. So she obviously disliked that individual, who was arrested in 2012. It was then added the group of men did not exist, which is why she could only identify one of them. And she added that the injuries she claimed to have suffered while trying to convince police she'd been the victim of a gang rape was self-inflicted. So she was actually beating herself up, turning herself into police and saying, look at all these bruises, I've been gang raped, and just absolute garbage. Didn't happen. A work of fiction. Then apparently she'd also reported another serious sexual assault in 2013 by 2 guys, saying she told the police it had happened 5 days earlier in August, and she said it had happened outside of her home, but nobody could find or identify either of those 2 men. And then 2 months later, she reported another attack in West London, where she was described as being gang raped at night in a street of the most appalling kind. And 2 men got arrested over that claim who happened to be in that vicinity at the time she was claiming it happened, but neither were charged. There was no evidence there to make it stick. And you can see here, the prosecutor added, it was, as we submit, a grotesque invention. Each of those reports made by Gemma Beale to the police is alleged by the prosecution in this case as being entirely false. She has not been raped, nor has she been sexually assaulted on any of these occasions. Because of what she did, 4 men have subsequently suffered serious injustice, one of them of the gravest kind. And the trial, as it stands, is ongoing. We're going to find out what's going to happen to her probably in a few months. But, you know, absolutely fucking mental, isn't it? That one woman can just wreak such absolute carnage. Now, don't worry. It could always be worse. This is a story in the Metro from last month, which kind of just, I don't even know how this happened. Sam, maybe you can shed a bit of light on it. The headline reads, farmer dies after pig bit off his penis and 3 fingers. Right? This is a story in the Metro. This is in the southwest Mexico. And apparently a farmer called Miguel Anaya Pablo, age 60, decided to start fighting with his pig.
He's obviously wrecked, and he 100% wrecked out his motherfucking mind.
I don't know. I've never had a pet pig. I can't imagine if you just go out, right, and you get wrecked. Come on, I can't wait to have a wrestle. Like,
imagine what level of wreck you're gonna be. Then you come in, you just look a babe, and you just like, you're fucking having it, man. You're having it. Fucking digs for babe. Fucking all the digs, and then you lose as well. Just get put down.
Well, it definitely does lose. The local media reports the pig became aggressive after the farmer provoked it, jumping up and knocking him over. The animal then bit off 3 of the fingers of his right hand and his penis.
How was this not about then? Was he just naked wrestling a pig?
Hey, look, I'm reading between the lines here. I don't know if he's fighting this pig.
Yeah.
You know,
I was drunk and came back. I just wanted to fight the pig, like, and I jumped up near his bumhole, but not really. And then he bit it off. It's like those people who go to fucking hospital. Oh, I was holding a lemon in the shower, and I slipped, and it just went right up my ass. You know, that's why there's a lemon up my ass, doctor, and also that's why I'm wearing this collar. It was all an accident. I know someone who works as a paramedic, and there was a guy who had a doorknob stuck up his ass, and they said, so what happened? He goes, I was hoovering naked, dancing, and I backed into it, and it just came off.
Think about the force you have to snap it up.
I'm still alive. Straight in the ring piece, doesn't even notice, keeping it in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just put them up there, don't they? I think we can all agree. And I don't want to disgrace the memory of Miguel Anaya Pablo, but it is a bit weird that your knob's out. But just saying, I don't know how the fuck the pig got his knob. The pig can eat a knob. What a boy!
What a boy!
Right. So anyway, the farmer was rushed to hospital in the nearby town of Tuxtepec and treated for the bite wounds. But despite their interventions, doctors cannot control the bacterial infections caused by the pig's bite.
Oh,
Mr.
He's
Pablo,
like a fucking poison snake, that pig, isn't it? Just eat your body away now, mate. It's done.
Have some necrosis, you cunt. You won't fight me again. World's hardest pig. The Chuck Liddell of pigs.
Motherfucker comes with venom nowadays, mate. He's next level.
An autopsy has been ordered to find out more about the exact circumstances of his death. Bet the family are like, nah. So
Nah.
We'll just knock that on the head, shall we? Mummy, what happened to Grandad? Never mind. Grandad's dead, and we're now paying hush money to the pig for the rest of our lives. So there you go. Man got absolutely fucked by a pig. That will happen if you try and fight.
Fuck a pig.
Yeah, if you try fight the pig. We
allegedly.
We don't know for sure. Let me just see if I can find. Here you go. You know, I've been saying for years that social media just drives people fucking mentally ill.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the biggest causes of mental illness in modern society. Well, if there was any further proof of that postulation needed, have a look at this story. So this is a guy who decided to dangle his baby over a sheer drop.
Sorry.
Right, and you can see how high up it is, mate. He's holding on to him with just one hand, and he said 1,000 likes or I will drop him.
Mate, that baby is one arm movement away from that
No, I
shirt
know.
just falling off. If he puts his arms up, he's pieced.
That's a good reference, Atomic Duck there. Good reference. He said Lion King. It's not quite like that. For starters, they used two hands in the Lion King, and I don't think they were doing that for likes, were they?
Yeah, holding him up. Retweets again.
Not bad. Not bad. But yeah, this guy literally dangled his baby over a drop that would have absolutely killed it for 1,000 Facebook likes. Right? So, needless to say, it somewhat backfired because everyone who saw this was absolutely fucking horrified. And he was reported for child abuse and was then charged with endangering the baby's safety and was promptly arrested. It was a 15-floor drop, right? Yeah. In Algiers, this was. So anyway, what's he even saying here? Apparently, it says the picture was taken in a balcony with protective barriers, and these were removed.
Yeah, I think he's trying to say he photoshopped them out, maybe?
I don't know, mate.
Yeah, I don't know. That probably is the best excuse. Nah, not real, mate. Is, though.
It's all Photoshop. Yeah, but again, think about what you can get away with that. Like,
yeah, I know.
Photoshopped it, didn't I? So it's all right. Nothing to see here, Judge. No, well, if it's Photoshopped, then yeah, absolutely.
Not guilty.
Anyway, the judge ruled against him, saying the picture was clear and the child's life was definitely in danger. And the father straight to jail in Algiers. Bye. So yeah, he's in jail now. But again, just the thought process behind this is baffling to me. Like, I love my child, but you know what I love more? 1,000 likes. You know what I mean? What are you doing, mate? So yeah, that's pretty.
That's what I mean. It's not even a safe grip. It's just by the t-shirt. If he was in a harness or something, at least.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. That's it. Like,
take some safety precautions if you're going to be mental.
Yeah, just none of that, unfortunately. Now, let me have a look here. Oh, that's pretty rough. We're not ready for that yet. We ain't ready for that. This will cheer you all up. Obviously, we talk a lot on the Richard Lewis Show about Antifa, right? Well, they actually, and this is genuine. They made it private, but somebody hosted it on YouTube. Antifa have started doing self-defense classes because they're really tired of getting their ass kicked by people who've actually worked a day in their lives. So they put this video up. Doing an interview about, the importance of self-defense and why they're doing these self-defense classes. Wait till you see the state of these fucking nanas, mate. You're going to fucking piss yourself. Right, and this isn't like the fake one, like the Boston Antifa shit. This is just legit. They made it private after the video went viral, but as I said, this chap managed to get it downloaded before that. And you can hit me with the 3, 2, 1. And
webcam's frozen a sec. Open up Skype or something.
All right, then. Let's do this.
This is Ed, and he's back. Right.
That's a poo.
And he's in the poo. Right. 3, 2, 1, go.
So Haymaker is an autonomous gym that's starting up now in Chicago. The aim is to establish more networks of self-defense.
We're trying to develop self-defense skills in a political climate that's increasingly violent, especially towards marginalized people who are not in power, the poor, the oppressed.
We're invested in building material force of resistance against the rising nature of fascism in this country and obviously the longer history of white supremacy. And so we're really invested in cultivating the capacity for our bodies to just be stronger. Because at the end of the day, stronger people are harder to kill.
People think like when you learn how to fight, it's all about being aggressive and like learning how to like, you know, go start fights with people. That's not what we're about at all. We're here to develop the bodily instincts to be able to react in a situation where we might be put in danger.
We believe that we need to start developing these skills, especially as
This
the
is
violence
green is too much.
What's Dyrus doing, man?
We want this to be an open-facing project. Everybody's welcome except police and
SJW
people that are
Dyrus.
affiliated with strong right-wing groups.
We're trying to build a space where people who may not be accepted into the kind of heteronormative, masculine, macho gym culture, and have a space for everyone to be able to learn self-defense skills. It's going to be free, donation-based.
A lot of anti-fascist groups in the U.S. Tend to kind of stay underground, and so we want to make this kind of politics of anti-racism and anti-fascism much more public and much more accessible to the mainstream.
And so, yeah, we're a broad, open, public-facing, popular self-defense project.
So it's Haymaker Chai at riseup.net. We also have a Twitter, which is also Haymaker Chai. A number of different folks have already emailed us, and they're interested in starting similar projects in other cities. So we're like really invested in beyond the kind of local context of Chicago. We think that starting a network of self-defense gyms all over the U.S. would be really dope.
Because like within our organizing collective, we don't necessarily have we can't speak to all of the different problems, I guess, and issues that people face in the city. So we're trying to use Haymaker as a space to organize with other
is the guy in
groups
green got
in
a
order
fake
to
leg?
advance the broader
I think he
cause, I
has.
guess, of self-defense.
I can't tell.
I just think he's an SJW man. So there you have it. So that's what Antifa are up to. And I see a lot of people in the chat like that's got to be a fucking parody. Like, and this is the thing. I mean, people have looked into it, and apparently, I think one publication even called up and tried to sign up, and it seems legit. I mean, they are doing sign-ups at least. So unless that's part of the joke, I don't know. But it's absolutely crazy. And are you trying to figure out if that guy had one leg or not?
Yeah, I can't tell. I think it's a shin pad actually, because he's like ankles moving.
It might be his kicking leg.
Yeah, maybe.
When he kicks Nazis. You know, got to do it right. So that's what Antifa are up to. Obviously, to stop the rise of fascists in America. Definitely got to do that. But it's not the most ridiculous thing that I've seen. I've got this here to start talking about as well. Hang on. Sorry, I'm just copying it. This is a woman and a group of women, indeed, who ask for their baby's consent before they pick them up.
This is fucking mental. I saw this.
Yeah. So this was collated in the New York Post, but you might have seen Tucker Carlson tweeting about it or some others. Basically, these are parents who try and sense consent from their baby before they pick them up, so they don't give them trauma. Right.
But
so
it's a baby, though.
Yeah.
They can't move, though. They need to be moved.
So I'll just read you some of these choice quotes because these are the spiciest memes. It's ridiculous. So this is Nisha Moodley from San Francisco. Who'd have guessed it? Always asks her son Raven, who'd have guessed it, before going to hold him. Alongside a selfie of her and her son, Moodley explained on Instagram why. Because we want him to know that his body is his. I mean, you are assuming his gender. So there's that.
Exactly.
And that others' bodies are theirs, and no one gets to make choices about someone else's body. The Mom of One's post earned over 600 likes. I mean, those doctors should just be winging their way to their house immediately. You know what I mean? Someone's liked it, right? That's the mental alarm. Woo, woo, woo. And they just descend
arrive with a
house.
box of pills, just throwing everything at who hoping one works.
Here's some amitriptyline straight to the brain. Calm you down. There you go. So the Mama Wants post earned over 600 likes, as well as plenty of support for her parenting move from people who wanted to do the same. She added, since the moment he was born, we've always asked before we pick him up, explaining that when he was too young to speak, she decided to feel for his yes instead. Moodley says that asking for Raven's permission is a small step in ending rape culture.
Oh, what is wrong with it? Why are you breeding? Why are you breeding, dude?
I'm sure the kid will grow up perfectly.
Oh.
Sure, the kid will grow up
We're fucked, mate. No. We're so fucked in the
No, listen, mate. I've already built.
Look at what's surviving amongst us, mate.
I know, and that's the thing. I'm opting out. Like, I don't want to have fucking kids. I've said right from the get go, I'd rather cut it off. Like, if I ever start walking around with a baby, trust me, it weren't on me. It was a bad accident. And the human experiment has failed, mate. Rust Cole was right. It's time. It's just to march into oblivion. But yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, these people are leaving their genetic material behind. So I've built a bomb shelter, Sam. You can just come and live out with me, and we'll eat beans.
Into those. So mate, we should get some fucking seed banks. Yeah, obviously I'm mentally ill. As if you're surprised, should get some seed banks, mate. We'll survive this shit. Full Alex Jordan style.
Yeah, we'll get some seed banks and some male vitality drops. Like, I'll read you the full post. Just so you can see. So some of the quotes I've already read you, but I think the whole thing, in context, it might be less mental, mightn't it? So I'll read the whole thing. Since the moment he was born, we've always asked him before we pick him up. I always feel for his yes. Why? Because we want him to know that his body is his and that other bodies are theirs. And no one gets to make choices about someone else's body. Hashtag lessons in sovereignty. Hashtag born free. Hashtag end rape culture. Side note, this is I love it when, I've got your attention, have I? Now I will proceed to lecture you about other things. Side note, if you ever want to hold someone else's baby, my suggestion is to ask the parent, then ask the kid. It always touches my heart when someone takes a moment to connect with them and says, can I hold you, dude? Addendum. Thanks to everyone who has shared support and also those who don't agree but are thoughtful and respectful. Unfortunately, hundreds of people have come here to call me nasty names and wish terrible things upon myself and my child. I don't think anyone has wished anything terrible on the child. I'm not interested in engaging with that kind of immature, thoughtless vitriol. If you bring it, I will report and delete. I pray we learn to meet our fellow humans with curiosity and kindness.
You keep praying.
Yeah, well, you know, I pray that parents are actually going to be fit to parent. Which clearly you're not. You know, look, I mean, at the end of the day, sure, I suppose you could argue it's a small thing. It's not really a big deal. But I would imagine that in a few years, this kid is going to have a very inflated sense of self. And it's probably going to be one of those annoying kids that never shut the fuck up, stamping their feet, having tantrums in public when you're trying to, you know, get on a plane, watch a movie, do your shopping. And of course, these parents won't be able to discipline the child because that would be rape culture for some reason. So there you go. But she wasn't alone. And naturally, of course, whenever something on Instagram goes viral, all of the shit leftist blogs come out. So she got interviewed by Yahoo Beauty, where she said, I don't ever want my son to be a sexual perpetrator or the victim of one. And the best thing I can do is honor his choices about his own body. I don't think he has bodily choices before his brain. Why would he be a sexual perpetrator?
I know. What do you mean?
Is that like what happens if you pick up a kid and you don't ask, that they just formulate something in their brain? Right, I'm gonna rape everyone now. That's it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and
you're all getting it. Yeah.
How fragile is your child? Do you think picking him up once is just gonna make him to a serial rapist? What's wrong with your motherfucking genes?
Mental, of course. Then what else do we have? A parenting expert at childcare.co.uk said, I absolutely get what this mum is saying. It's very important to teach our children that their bodies are their own and that other people, even their parents, need to respect that in the way that they would respect another adult space. But one of the wonderful things about families is also the spontaneity of human affection and the ability to demonstrate that. So I'd say we need to make sure that formalizing hugs and kisses doesn't go too far and make children fearful or suspicious of all contact. The NSPCC's underwear rule is a good place to start. It's what they tell kids about your special area, which obviously is a good thing to tell kids before they go out and meet, I don't know, priests. Yeah. Good thing to tell your kids before you pack them off to church. You know what I mean? The NSPCC's underwear rule is a good place to start when trying to protect children against inappropriate physical contact. And then by all means, ask permission and be sensitive to their personal space, but keep the hugs coming. So mentally ill. Actually, while we're talking about babies, hang on, let me see if I did get this. Because there was this story in Canada, which is going to, it'll probably upset you. It kind of bothered me a little bit, but anyway, in Canada, there's this big row brewing because they've had the first genderless baby. All right. And this is Canadian parents who don't want any gender to be entered on a baby's birth certificate.
Oh, so, okay. All right.
Yeah, I didn't mean it was like some genetic experiment.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. I thought like it was some... Yeah, okay.
Well, like just action, man.
Yeah, literally just smooth. That's what I was imagining until you told me. I thought it was just a smooth baby. This is all smooth.
No, it's not all smooth, no. So a parent in Canada is fighting a law that says a child's gender must be stated on their birth certificate. And again, there's a variety of reasons why this law is perfectly valid. First of all, we know children can become estranged from their parents and might not want to follow their parents' wishes. Second of all, most importantly, there are a lot of medical conditions that unfortunately are gender specific in their nature, and doctors need to know about what you were from birth, and there needs to be a definitive record of that for that reason. So I look, nobody's saying that, again, this isn't a transgender right issue as I see it, because no one's saying if when the child reaches a legal age, it decides that it wants to change its gender. No one's saying that we're against that. What we're saying is you shouldn't leave a blank entrant in a legal document that might be vitally important somewhere down the line. Anyway, I'll read you the full story. Corey Doty, who does not identify as male or female. I mean, imagine my shock. You're putting your shit onto a kid. And here's one thing. I don't understand the people who say I'm just neither. All right, okay, let's do the requisite testing to see if you actually are one of the incredibly small percentage of people that are intersex. If you are, fine. Use that label till your heart's content. But you're not, are you? You went on Tumblr, right? And you saw all these super cool, interesting new labels to make up for your lack of a personality, and you just chose them. That's what actually happened. You're not genetically intersex in any way, shape, or form. Anyway, Corey Doty, who's not identified as male or female, wants their 8-month-old baby, Cyril Atlee, to be able to choose their gender. But Canadian law states the baby will not be given a birth certificate without specifying its sex. I'm raising Cyril in such a way that until they have the sense of self and command of vocabulary to tell me who they are, I'm recognizing them as a baby and trying to give them all the love and support to be the most whole person that they can be outside of the restrictions that come with the boy box and the girl box. Doty, who prefers to use the pronoun they, told CBC News. However, Doty has been unable to secure a birth certificate for the baby, as authorities in British Columbia are refusing to hand over one until Doty confirms the gender of the child, something they claim is a violation of the baby's human rights. When I was born, doctors looked at my genitals and made assumptions about who I would be, and those assignments followed me and followed my identification throughout my life. Those assumptions were incorrect. Yeah, apparently you're neither. So, I mean, they would have been fucked whatever they said. And I ended up having to do a lot of adjustments since then. Although no birth certificate has been issued for the baby, authorities in BC did send Doty a medical card for the baby with U signifying unidentified gender on it, something Doty wants to see replicated on the birth certificate. Indeed, the parent, a member of the Gender Free ID Coalition, is seeking a judicial review over the baby's birth certificate. Let's clog up the courts with this nonsense. And is among a group of 8 people also fighting to change the gender of their own birth certificates. I want my kid to have all of the space to be the most whole and complete person that they can be, Doty added, before unloading all of their emotional baggage into the child's brain. So, look, again, I don't know what to fucking realistically say about that. I just kind of feel that I have absolutely nothing against people's right to, change gender, to be transgender, to be recognized as another gender that isn't their own, provided it is an existent gender, one that actually exists. No issues with that at all. But I do think when you're dealing with a child, that for health reasons, anything could happen. There could be an accident, and you've got to get information. I mean, it puts your blood type on your birth certificate, the important information that people might need to know. For example, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, and I don't mean to be macabre and ghoulish, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility that you could be injured in such a way that immediately looking at your body wouldn't make your gender apparent, and in which case doctors would need to consult medical records, need to look at history of treatment and everything else to be absolutely certain that they could deal with specific issues. So I kind of feel that this is a bit of a nonsense, really. I don't like the idea of anyone being characterized as nothing, and like I say, unless you are genetically intersex, which does exist, happens to an incredibly small amount of the world's population, but it is a real thing, and nobody's disputing otherwise. But it certainly isn't happening in the volume that people claim it is in modern Western America. It's just not possible that the genetic, defect would jump to that sort of amount. It just isn't possible. So, a little bit perplexed why anyone would do that. But that's fine. I mean, whatever. I actually read something in BuzzFeed as well. This is obviously going to be something of a trend. Modern parents, I think, seem to be of the mindset that assigning a gender to a kid is an act of child abuse, right? I would probably lean more the other way and say not assigning a gender and confusing a child, because they're going to have to enter into a society where there are delineated genders. And they're going to learn at school, these are girls, these are boys. They're going to be told this is a girl's bathroom, this is a boy's bathroom. They're going to go and they're going to do separate lessons, physical education. You're going to do it separate from the girls and the boys. Now, if you're telling a kid there's no such things as girls and boys and you can be whatever the fuck you want to be, they're probably going to have a bit of a tough time adapting to a school environment. I used to make the joke that, if I did have a kid, of course I wouldn't, I might just do something small just as a thought experiment, like teach them that sheep were cows and cows were sheep. You know what I mean? Just to see them go to school. No, that's definitely a cow when they're looking at a sheep. It just shows perception. But obviously I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to have a kid anyway, so you don't need to report me for child abuse on the stream. Although I'm sure Twitch has that drop down. He's planning to implant thoughts into his future children. Twitch,
wrong animals,
right? But this is something that's definitely a trend now among modern liberal parents. And there was an article in BuzzFeed, I mean, where else, called "I Am a Gender Non-Conforming Parent." They did this little video interview. It's 5 minutes long. I don't know if the stream will be able to take the whole thing, but if you play sort of the first 2 minutes, you'll kind of get the gist that basically this is a couple, again, very much like the one we've just talked about, where what they're saying is, hey, we as adults have decided that we don't conform to gender stereotypes and indeed have no gender. So we're going to make sure our children are raised that way as well. So if you just want to drop the old 3, 2, 1.
Playing from where the start, is it?
Yeah, just play from the start. I'll tell you when I've had enough.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
I had dude friends that were like, "Oh, you're having a boy? Like, I'll teach him how to throw a ball." It's just like, dude, I can throw a ball. Like, what are you talking about?
Start with that.
It begins.
My path is like a
not a good
queer
start.
person.
My understanding
about gender is that ultimately it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't give you the information about that person that you think that it's going to give you. The person I am today was like very much in line with the person that I was or longed to be when I was really little. I was a tomboy. My best friends were primarily boys. I played with boy stuff. That changed as I became a teenager and wanted to fit in more and just wasn't comfortable being myself. And I was still kind of figuring out who I was, and that took a long time. From that time until my early 30s, my queerness in terms of my gender sort of continued to transform.
Queerness isn't about gender, but whatever.
I was at the very beginning of deciding to try to have a baby by myself.
So I've always known that I wanted to have kids someday. I thought I probably would end up trying to go down the path of having a baby alone also.
What could be more masculine than giving birth to a child,
out there to take that journey with. When we got ready to go on our first date, my best friends at the time, they asked me to not talk about wanting to have kids with Michelle. I had brought it up, I think, on some other casual dates a little too soon. Because it was something that was important to me. But with Michelle, they said I should probably slow my roll a little bit, and then not knowing that she was actually
trying to have a baby.
You have to cut this music out now. If you rap with this music, we film it.
This person could be anybody.
No, I think it'll be all right.
You hear that right away. You hear like boys are like this and girls are like that.
But as soon as we found out that we were having a boy, something just sort of clicked. We have this amazing person, and whoever that person is, they're perfect.
But you like all of these like stereotypically boy things. I would say things like, oh God, like what if he wants to play sports? And you would be like, that's great, I'll be the coach. It's really funny because he's super into sports, like maybe he was like an Olympic athlete in his past life. He just came with all of these visible at 17 months. That's what Dashiell like.
Reincarnation.
What was the point of this?
Easily relates to him on that level. I'm constantly trying to like queer my relationship with him and get him to
Who would have known?
Who would have known it? Like, no,
a boy that likes sports? He must have been an athlete in a past life. Who would have fucking known, mate?
This is surely proof of the afterlife.
What does he want? And the sort of purity.
Fuck it, we'll play the old thing.
Interested in or delighted by. Obviously, I want to support whatever he wants to be.
I can't believe that.
This group is the Roly Polies group. It's like this really big moms group.
I certainly have like a moment of hesitation around hearing moms group. Are there dads there? Are there other people like me? I'm definitely aware of being his Baba.
Dashiell goes by Baba. And that's something that a lot more masculine female people.
They made up their own terms to avoid mother and dad.
Going by Baba as an alternative to mom or dad.
So there you go, Baba.
Awesome. I really
They just made up a word, basically.
I haven't felt weird for.
I'm sure this kid's gonna grow up fine.
Really nice to have that support group, for sure.
There'll be no need for any therapy, I'm sure. He'll just slide straight into society, this kid. He won't be scarred from these mentally ill parents at all.
Child. This is where he starts learning like what things are. And so I hate the idea that he's getting imprinted on him. People who look like this are boys, and people who look like that are girls. Even something that's like progressive like Sesame Street. All the monsters are boys unless they have like a bow in their hair and a sparkly necklace on. Like why is Old MacDonald like a guy?
Because he is.
The lesbian farmer.
It's everywhere. I mean, it is. It's everywhere. It's that we are probably more aware of than most people anyway. But
why did she just say, why can't Old MacDonald be a lesbian?
Thing to do feels like to be constantly challenging. And then sometimes it's almost just to ignore gender completely. He's being raised by a gender person. So just the existence of Dashiell is going to be...
She's just questioning reality, man. What do you do to that?
You can't do anything.
Oh, man. I don't even know what to say to that.
Because they are special.
That's like when someone who's religious says God created evolution. Well, you win, don't you? I don't know what to tell you now. You just win.
Everybody needs to be reconsidering the way that they're presenting gender to their kids. It's not even whether or not Atticus is personally going to be a genderqueer or gender fluid person. Atticus could grow up and be a completely traditionally cisgendered male.
I think that's something.
Yeah, he's not going to be pressured into anything at all.
So he can be a respectful human being in the world. Hi. Yeah.
So there you have it. So, there is this movement, right? And you even heard, we joined a special parenting group. But it's just like, it must be really confusing for a kid these days. Because look, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, and I imagine any child psychologist or child developmental specialist will tell you the exact same. Children need structure, and they need to understand what things are. They need labels. This is how they construct their reality. I mean, they're not wrong about that part, but making up words that only exist within your household, and then making up terms and changing the structure around you on a day-to-day basis dependent on your moods as an adult, that doesn't behoove the child in any way, shape, or form, does it? I mean, that actually makes things incredibly difficult for a child. They don't have the cognitive faculties to be able to keep up with that ever-shifting landscape. It might make you feel better about yourself as an adult, but it's going to be incredibly difficult for the kid. And again, understand, I am not saying at all that, don't be this, don't be that. As an adult, I think once you start treating children like adults and roping them into your madness, I think that's where it gets a little bit problematic for me. I think kids just want to grow up knowing that up is down. Sorry, up is up and down is down. If you start fucking switching things around, you can't say that though. I'm Baba. And that's a social construct. Now let's hear about old MacDonald the lesbian.
You know exactly. Motherfucker doesn't know how birds fly yet, and you're fucking his face with this. Fucking give him a break. Let him watch National Geographic for a bit. Give him some Shark Week, motherfucker, before you start hitting him with gender issues.
Yeah, it's just too much, isn't it? It really is. So I thought that was kind of weird. And look, the madness in Canada is really going crazy. It's over the top now. I'll show you here. I'm sure a lot of you follow Jordan Peterson's work. Now, Jordan Peterson rose to prominence pretty much on the back of the fact that at a university they were mandating that you had to call people by their chosen pronouns. Now, again, I have no issue with that as long as those pronouns are real. For example, if you are a male to female transgendered person and it was mandated that I have to call you she in the interests of you not feeling discriminated against. See, I'm a moderate. People don't realize this about me. I'm not a hardline. I'd probably not get invited to the Conservatives ball, but I don't mind that. I don't mind that. That almost like just in a professional setting. I'm not talking about on the street, obviously, but if you're a student at a university and you're a male or female transgender, let's say you're in the early stages and you don't pass and it's fairly apparent, right? I don't think you should necessarily be getting bombarded by your lecturers going, "Excuse me, sir, buddy." Equally, I don't think you should be fucking wrecked if you do it by accident. Okay? It's got to be contextual. But where I do start having a problem, I mean, absolutely, is they're now recognizing made-up pronouns. Z, zer, fim, fur, patch. There's no law in the world. I'll say this plain. Like, if they ever made that a law in America, I don't see how it could pass and be tied to the First Amendment.
Imagine going to prison for not using the word zer.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I never would. I never would. I never would. And any country that passes a law like this is circumspect. I think they've been infiltrated by a very sinister group. But this is what happened. They've been pushing it for the longest time, this C-16 bill. And this was what Jordan Peterson was talking about, that the C-16 bill was going to come in and it was going to basically make it so you could be punished. It went out of being a guideline. And this is how they always do it. They give you a guideline and say, we'd prefer it if you did this. And then people start getting upset when the guideline's not met to. And then they start complaining. And then to placate the group that complain, lobbyists then start lobbying to make it law. And then well-meaning do-gooder law enforcers or just, political activists who somehow ascended into positions of political power start passing these laws. And all of a sudden, you're in a place where it arguably impinges on your rights to freedom of expression, because the state now has a mandate to punish you if you don't use made-up words. Now, it's interesting. Mr. Cook Socks, Justin Trudeau, said, great news. Bill C-16 has passed the Senate, making it illegal to discriminate based on gender identity or expression. # love is love. Now, look, Justin Trudeau is a bit of a cuckold. You know, I'm not saying otherwise. I don't really like him as a leader. He's one of those loony liberals, not a traditional liberal or libertarian. He is a loony liberal. He's the ones that believe in all of this mumbo jumbo, social justice and all that other made up nonsense. So I can't get on board with him. But what I will say about that tweet is, if C-16 was just making it illegal to discriminate, you know, like, for example, I can deny you a service, you know, based on your gender identity. Like, if you were a transgendered person and you came, I don't know, let's say CVS, and you came in to get your hormones, and because I was offended by who you were, I refused to serve you. Fuck that. Like, that's bullshit. Like, nobody should be ever doing that. It's a fucking job. Suck it the fuck up, shut up, and get on with your business. And nobody should be discriminated based on who they feel they are at the core of their being. And I do believe that also. And I'm sure a lot of people will say, that's a slippery slope. It's always a slippery slope, unfortunately. You've got to apply common sense. But it's not just that. It's not just stopping you being discriminated against in work, in your house, in commerce. It's now stopping linguistic oppression, which is that if you tell me I have to use a word to describe you and I don't do it, I can be penalized under law for that.
That's so mental.
And I'll just read you. This is Ben Shapiro who wrote this up. Taking a page out of George Orwell's 1984, Canada passed a new law that opens Canadians up to fines and even jail time if they use gender pronouns that do not correspond to a person's subjectively determined gender identity. Imagine negotiating this as a territory in a world where gender fluid is a thing. And apparently you can change gender day to day. I could meet you and you could say, I'm a female, use the pronoun she. I see you again tomorrow. You have changed your gender to he. I have not been informed of this because we have a very fleeting passing relationship. I accidentally call you she. You get up in arms about it because you're a little fragile social justice warrior piece of shit. I am the one that's going to be doing the time or paying the fine. How is this even possible that lawmakers can think this is a good idea? Anyway, Bill C-16, which was passed by Canada's Senate on Thursday, put so-called gender identity and gender expression into both the country's human rights code as well as the hate crime category of its criminal code by a vote of 67-11, nearly no resistance at all. All the bill needs now is a stamp of approval from the Governor General, which it's likely to get.
And may we hope he is mentally stable.
It won't happen. It will not be. It will not be denied at this point. Critics of the legislation say the bill will target conservatives who cling to reality and science and refuse to adhere to progressive gender theory, which is rooted in mere feelings, for potential hate crimes. Potential consequences for refusing capitulation are monetary fines, enforced anti-bias training, and jail time. Let me just read this other part. Aside from the law's odious opposition to free speech, the bill is severely flawed due to the subjective nature of gender identity alone, as highlighted by Conservative Senator Grant Mitchell in November 2016. Transgender identity is too subjective a concept to be enshrined in law because it is defined as an individual's deeply felt internal experience of gender, he stated, which I think is an absolutely fair comment. Fierce free speech proponent Jordan Peterson, an outspoken professor at the University of Toronto, fought tirelessly against the bill, insisting that it infringed upon citizens' freedom of speech and institutes what he views as dubious gender ideology into law. And you can see he tweeted about it, saying Senate passes Bill C-16 without amendment, 67-11 against. Compelled speech has come to Canada. We will seriously regret this. Speaking before the Senate in May, Peterson ripped into the legislation and explained how it was sadly indicative of how deeply the culture of victimization had seeped into Canadian culture. Ideologues are using unsuspecting and sometimes complicit members of the so-called transgender community to push their ideological vanguard forward. The very idea that calling someone a term that they didn't choose causes them such irreparable harm that legal remedy should be sought is an indication of just how deeply the culture of victimization has sunk into our society. An outlier in academia, Peterson became a target for the social justice warrior left when he previously vowed to refrain from using fictional gender pronouns like Z and Z. Campaign Life Toronto's senior political strategist, Jack Fonseca, told LifeSite News that the bill was an attack on religious people. Mark my words, this law will not be used as some sort of shield to defend vulnerable transsexuals, but rather as a weapon with which to bludgeon people of faith and free-thinking Canadians who refuse to deny truth, he said. So the whole thing's going to be a shit show. But there's no doubt in my mind that it will actually pass. I'm pretty certain of that. It's gone too far. And it just seems to me like it's completely fucking ridiculous. Like, honestly, like, does no one sit down and think, hey, the law now can make us say words we don't want to. This couldn't possibly lead us down a dark path. Mind you, here's what I will say. Canada is rapidly going to shit. I mean, it's been held up as like this great country to live in, like America, but not stupid, like America, but with the basic amount of socialist principles that even hardcore capitalist conservatives could get on board with. But it really is starting to the wheels are coming off. I mean, I'm going to show you this story now. Again, you just need to hit them with the fucking grow up gas. This is Montreal's first adult daycare center set to open. And this is like what we're seeing in universities across America. Montreal have opened an adult daycare. Right?
Who are these people?
Well, apparently it's needed. Basically, its main focus is going to be corporate clients, apparently, people who need a way to blow off stress. And what they do is they check themselves into this adult daycare center where they can just sit around playing with fucking crayons all day and just doing nice little games and exercises.
That isn't what fucking businessmen used to do to relieve stress back in my day, mate. Well, the films I've been watching have clearly been fucking lies.
Cocaine, gambling, and escorts, I believe. And, of course, booze. But anyway, for 6 hours in the daycare center, you pay $80 to $120. And you will also get baby food, including comfort food like mac and cheese and that kind of thing for you to attend. So I think Canada's got some problems, dude.
Yeah, you're fucking in the face, aren't you?
Yeah. So it's definitely heading that way. Anyway, what can you do? What can you do? Good luck, Canada. You're on your own. You're on your fucking own. All right, are we ready for a dark, horrible story then? Because I hate it here. Right, well, this again was from last month. This is unreasonable. It's from China. Right. So this is the story of how a 6-year-old girl died while at school because her teacher sealed her mouth shut with sellotape because she talked too much. Yeah, bad call, I'd say.
How does she die?
Well, a 6-year-old girl died after a kindergarten teacher wrapped her mouth with sellotape to stop her talking too much. And basically, she sort of wrapped so much round, she couldn't get it off. And she had it on her mouth for like 40 minutes and was like panicking, struggling to breathe. And by the time they got an ambulance to turn up and deal with the situation, the kid had been dead from asphyxia for 30 minutes.
Fucking glue and sellotape, it says you as well.
Yeah. Well, you got to be careful. The sellotape doesn't come off.
Fucking
mental, isn't it? Mental. And again,
God forbid a child is talking in China. Like, damn it.
It's so wild.
No internet, no talking either.
But just mad that and then the line, like, talk about dark humor, but it was reported that the teacher in question has been suspended by the kindergarten. Yeah, I think so. I think suffocating a child to death, probably grounds for suspension, probably, but just probably. So that was in the news last month. There's not really much more to say about it other than it's fucking horrible. But yeah, pretty ridiculous. Let's see. While we're in the horrible ones, I suppose we may as well pick out the horror ones. Hang on. Oh, that's all about that. No, it's coming. Oh, here you go. This is kind of a horrible one, but I guarantee people are going to laugh. I showed you this earlier. You were buckled by it. So this was the photo released of a man who was caught exposing himself in a public pool in Queens, Long Island specifically. So the reason I'm showing this picture isn't for cheap comic relief. It's so he can be identified, obviously. But yeah, basically.
The thing is, I zoomed in on it, and your face for the subscribe just went on it. So it does look like you. That's what that is. Man wanted, Richard.
But I mean, I'm not saying you can spot them. But turns out you can. Right, so we'll get that one out the way. Bit of brevity. There we go. Right, okay, let's do another horrible one. This is pretty bad, right? This is really why I hate the planet. Because you hear these fucking stories all the time about the horrors of the Western world and how we're all sexist and we live in a rape culture and women are treated like second-class citizens in this country, in America, in Britain, in Europe. And, we exist in a rape culture because, men can look at you and all these ridiculous things. I mean, this is just awful. This is a story from Western Bengal that was published 2 days ago. A mentally disabled woman was basically stripped, shaven, and lynched by a group of villagers because she was mentally impaired. They thought she was stealing children, right? And they just rose up in this huge mob uprising and basically killed her. I mean, they attacked her for hours. They pelted her with sticks and stones. They took off her clothes. They shaved her head, beat her mercilessly, and then strung her up to die. And the police are trying to investigate this lynching, but, don't hold your breath to anyone being charged. I mean, how do you charge an entire village with this kind of thing? And of course, even in villages in West Bengal these days, people have video phones and everything else, and everyone recording the absolute horrific event. We won't show the video here, but trust me, it's there and it's graphic. And, you can see exactly what these people are doing. I mean, people are laughing while they're doing it. If you ever want an example of what people mean when they talk about the banality of evil, it's this. It's that people could just sort of casually torture a woman like this in a large group. And while there are some women in the crowd, from what I've seen on the video, I mean, obviously the majority of the perpetrators are men here. This is sort of where that weird, it's like a Salem witch trial. If you ever wanted to know what was going down in Salem, this is pretty much it. A woman is accused of a crime. She doesn't have the mental capacity to defend herself from the crime. And in the absence of any defense, any common sense, any common decency, she is killed in a most brutal and savage way, some form of weird, fucked up collective catharsis, even though they would never admit it. And now the police are left investigating a crime that they absolutely can't arrest people for because everybody is complicit in it, in that village. So again, far be it from me to say that look, I say it all the time, and it's about priorities. And when I see these women activists, look, there are many noble causes to fight. There are many battles to fight. But there are countries out there where women really are treated like second-class citizens, where life is so unbelievably cheap, where we still hear stories about women being wrongly imprisoned, stoned to death for adultery that never happened, or in this case, being found guilty of being mentally ill in a country that doesn't have any understanding or sympathy towards people with mental illnesses, and on top of that, certainly has some very backward attitudes towards women within society. These are the battles I think that people should be unifying and fighting, not the ones on domestic shores where, sure, we could certainly tweak a few things, no doubt about that, but there are real problems around the world. I mean, real awful things, and I think that's where people's energies and money and effort should go towards. Now, if that hasn't soured the mood enough, I mean, I suppose the headline is amusing. I don't even really understand how to break this story down. But this is in the New York Daily News. Florida face-eating teen says he just wants to be a normal kid again.
Phone calls have been released of the.
Now, I'm trying not to look at the picture in the top right of that guy. Do you see the headline? PA man convicted of attempted rape.
Mate.
Now, I'm that he's got all sorts of problems. Anyway.
Wait, mate, have we done this story? Have we done another story about this kid?
Oh, I think we did the one. We did the original trial. This is the subsequent interview. So what he did is he killed a couple outside of their home. For those that didn't catch it on the Richard Lewis show, he basically stabbed a couple to death and then literally cut and chewed the face off one of the victims. And then sort of said, "Hey, everybody, I was just a little bit crazy when I did that." And now he has said that he just wants to be a normal kid again. He said it just sucks talking about his own incarceration. Well, you know what sucks worse than being in jail? It's getting stabbed to death and having your face chewed off. Far be it from me to be completely unsympathetic to your plight. But he just wants to be a normal kid again. I don't think there's any coming back from that. A double homicide with cannibalism.
Nah, usually good enough to put you away.
Understand, I am all for the rehabilitation process. But I don't think, because they said here that he was diagnosed as being mentally ill. Surprise, surprise.
Yes.
And was given antidepressants, and now he's fine. I don't know about that. Far be it from me to doubt the doctors, as it isn't my area of expertise. But I don't think you go from, I've just stabbed someone to death and ate their face, to a 4-week course of citalopram hydrobromide and everything's fucking roses again, That's just me, Sam. But what do I know? So there you go. Right, we'll come out of the dark territory now. How are we doing for time?
I think we're about hour 10 in.
All right, good. I'm going to keep it short. I'm definitely not going past 90 minutes. So let's see where we're going to go with it. Okay, I'll save that for the Richard Lewis show. Save that for the Richard Lewis show, because I don't know if you noticed, but Iran did a contest where it was who could draw the funniest Donald Trump cartoon. That's Iran, the country where when somebody drew a picture of Muhammad, they tore down the Danish embassy with their hands and tried to kill everyone inside.
Yeah, exactly. How do they get to draw things then?
It's weird, isn't it, satire? It's weird how it works. It's almost as if it's all okay, or none of it is. Do you know what I mean? So I definitely want to talk about that in depth.
Do you want to look into that Shrek article, mate? The guy with the fucked up bed?
No, I don't want to, mate, because I don't want to segue from saying people should be sensitive towards people with mental health problems and then just laugh at some guy who looks like fucking Shrek.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's got mental health problems. He's just got a fucked up face. He's done a fucked
I
up
will
crime.
bet you. I will bet you he is mentally ill.
But it's not the best odds in the casino, is it?
I'm just saying, mate. You know, this isn't counting cards. This is, this is a sure thing. All right, well, here's something that just pissed me off. You know, all these like retarded virtue signaling things that people do at the moment. And again, if you ever are in doubt that there's money in virtue signaling, this is why a lot of these people do it. There is a service now, all right, which I noticed this the other day. The story is almost, 6-7 weeks old, but it's been sat on our Discord for a while, so it's only fair that we use it. And thanks to all the people on our Discord who do go through these stories and make sure I get to see them, although it does my mental health no fucking good whatsoever. But there is now a website which will send your cremated remains to a Republican in Congress if you die as a result of Trump Care. Now, just going to burst a few bubbles here, right? Trump Care ain't going to kill you, right? It's not.
Yeah, it's not fatal.
The bill itself isn't going to kill you. The inherent problems within America's healthcare system will certainly kill you. In a place where privatized healthcare has been allowed to flourish to the degree it has, there is no way to fix the problem. America doesn't believe in a socialist healthcare system, and you can't sell them that. You can't even sell them that as an idea. People don't believe. People see healthcare as a service, which to me, as a European, I find it a little bit strange. I do see healthcare as a right. Certainly, basic healthcare. I see it as a right. I think people have the right to be treated by doctors if they're ill. I don't think they should have to break the piggy bank. I'm not talking about what emergency people will do if they find you. They'll always do what they call the wallet biopsy. They'll still do that and try and find your medical card, but they won't turn you away for treatment. That's very noble of them. But the reality remains that if you've got an ongoing condition, I think doctors, there's a moral obligation there for me anyway. I know not everybody agrees. That's my take on it, but whatever. Trump Care is trying to fix a problem that's inherent to the American healthcare system. Obamacare didn't fix it. Trump Care is not going to fix it, in all honesty. Someone is always going to be unsatisfied. Someone is always going to slip through the cracks as long as America says you must transmute your money into quality healthcare. Now, this service is reactionary and absurd, and it is a classic example of a small business trying to leverage virtue signaling to make money. So what they will do is they will take your cremated remains and they will send your remains, your actual remains, I'll say it again, your remains, your burnt up corpse, they will take your burnt up corpse, put it in a fucking urn and send it to a Republican of your choice.
Mentally ill from beyond the grave.
It's called Mail Me to the GOP, right? And it says here on the site, millions of Americans rely on protections and coverage from the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare. The Republicans' new bill will gut these protections and many will die. We have no idea how much, by the way. It's been debunked every time they've done a study into the numbers that Trump Care is supposedly going to kill. They've had to dial it back and say, actually, these numbers aren't solid because they're making wild assumptions. Like, for example, you can say with certainty that you will have a higher life expectancy if you didn't have health care, and then the Affordable Health Care Act made it so you could have health care. However, repealing that doesn't necessarily mean you are destined to die. It's not that simple, is it? So the arguments around it are hokey, but whatever. So the Republicans' new bill will gut these protections and many will die. They deserve to know it. Fill out our form and we'll help you get papers in order to send your ashes to a GOP member of Congress if you pass. So there you go. And you can also get pre-written messages in the urns, including my combat tour in Iraq resulted in enough disability to make me uninsurable, but not enough to get all my health care through the VA. You killed me, you prick. And because you took away my fucking insurance. So, again, just to be clear, Donald Trump has actually pledged to help veterans like no other president has. Certainly in my memory. He's actually was elected on that pledge and is significantly looking to make increases in budget for not just touring soldiers, but also veterans who are no longer touring and injured veterans. And this is a matter of record. So why you would want to attack the GOP for that, I don't really understand. And also just a reminder that Obama said he would get you out, didn't. Hillary Clinton voted for the Iraq war, was fully for it. So it's not as if the Democratic Party did much for you anyway, but that's fine. Apparently. So there you go. You can now send your own remains to politicians that you disagree with, because why the fuck wouldn't you? Right, now let's do this. I hate it here material. Really, I hate it here material. Germany doesn't learn really from its history, do they? You see, one of the things that has allowed the rise of evil through periods of history, it's always good intentions. You know the old adage, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And Germany are at it again. They've recently passed a law about social media. We're going to start with this. I know this terrified you, Sam. You actually were legitimately scared because of this. This was the story. And this is reported in the New York Times. Germany raid the homes of 36 people accused of hateful postings over social media. Now, Germany has been heading this way for a long, long time. They have all this like archaic legislature when it comes to new and emerging technologies. You'll remember Merkel, got caught on a hot mic talking to, what's he called? Zuckerberg from Facebook. About how, Facebook's really got to get a handle on all this anti-immigrant stuff. And of course, Zuckerberg was saying, yes, I will completely betray all of the free speech rights and privacy of the people that use my business. Absolutely. But this is where it started. This is where it's been leading to. The idea, all right, that, okay, at times of heightened passions, when terrorist attacks occur, okay, it is very hard for everybody to keep a sense of perspective. And there's I'm not one of those people. I've grown up with terror attacks as a matter of course in my life. It used to be the IRA, it seemed to just segue seamlessly into something else. And now it's, extremist Islam and the rise of ISIS. And I don't like it. I don't like terrorism to make a point. I don't like innocent civilians being killed for you to get your little political point across or because you don't like someone's lifestyle choices or whatever else. Terrorism is evil. It's fundamentally evil. Now, people who are affected by terrorism, people who live in countries that have been absolutely ravaged by Islamic terrorist attacks like Germany, obviously some people are going to say things that they might not reflect reality. They might not be cool. But you might get some people who say Muslims are to blame. Now, not all Muslims are to blame, obviously. But people are scared. People are afraid. And people are ignorant, just as a rule. Bulk of this show's about that. Bulk of the Richard Lewis show's about that. The ignorance inherent within society and how we can all enlighten ourselves and be better people. What you shouldn't ever do is take people saying things that you deem to be hateful or inciting hate towards a group and arrest them and make martyrs of them, especially at a time when some sensitivity has to be applied. Now, I'm not talking about people who are like, right, let's get some sheets, let's get some sticks, and let's start burning some crosses on some lawns. Those people want to commit unlawful acts. Those people are racists and bigots, and they're going to act upon their racism and their bigotry, and they are going to hurt people predicated on their beliefs. We've seen in Sweden an old lady arrested for saying that she didn't like migrants, that she felt migrants were dirty and that they shit in the street. She's obviously never been to Wrexham. She'd hate it there. Now, that might be a stereotype that's not particularly palatable. Could also be based on her perceptions. Could also be based on real experiences she's encountered. We have no way of knowing. I don't think a 68-year-old woman, or however old she was, should be going to jail over posting that on Facebook. Honestly, I don't. I think that's absurd. And in Berlin, there have been coordinated campaigns now to raid the homes of people who are saying what they consider to be hateful postings on Facebook and Twitter and other social media. So you can see here, most of the raids concern politically motivated right-wing incitement, so they said, and this was the Federal Criminal Police Office, whose officers conducted home searches and interrogations. But the raids also targeted 2 people accused of left-wing extremist content, as well as 1 person accused of making threats based on someone's sexual orientation. So this is why the left-wing need to fucking be very careful about what they wish for, and I keep saying it. Because we saw the Europol reports, the left-wing, it's actually the growth area of terrorist attacks now. As extremist left and like the right wing, supposedly in Europe, has died right off. The still high incidence of punishable hate posting shows a need for police action, said the president of the Federal Criminal Police Office. Our free society, no irony detected. Our free society must not allow a climate of fear, threat, criminal violence, and violence either on the street or on the internet. The raids come as Germans are debating the draft of a new social media law aimed at cracking down on hate speech, a measure that an array of experts said was unconstitutional at a parliamentary hearing on Monday. The measure, championed by Justice Minister Heiko Maas for passage this month, would fine Facebook, Twitter, and other outlets up to $53 million if they fail to remove hate speech and other forms of illegal content. And I will tell you this has been left out of this report, I think. Oh, no, it's a little bit further down in the next paragraph. But a $53 million fine if you fail to remove hate speech or something that is deemed hate speech within 24 hours of it being reported, specifically. Under German law already, social media users are subject to a range of punishments for posting illegal material, including a prison sentence of up to 5 years for any content deemed to incite racial hatred. Under the draft statute, networks must offer a readily available complaint process for posts that may amount to threats, hate speech, defamation, or incitement to commit a crime, among other offenses. Now, social media outlets would have 24 hours to delete obviously criminal content and a week to decide on more ambiguous cases. The law, approved by Germany's cabinet in April, will enforce fines of up to $53 million. According to a recent study, Facebook deleted just 39% of hate speech deemed illegal by the German officials within 24 hours, despite signing a code of conduct way back in 2015, pledging to meet the standard of 100%. Twitter deleted just 1%. Imagine that. Imagine when Twitter is an egregiously free speech platform when compared to Facebook. We are disappointed by the results. I nearly did a German accent there. I didn't want to. We have clear rules against hate speech and work hard to keep it off our platform. But here's the good news. There are people trying to push back on it. Bernd Holznagel, who is a professor at the University of Munster and one of the participating experts, pointed to 2 constitutional violations related to freedom of speech. The statute gives companies incentives to remove content, and it lacks a procedure for users to appeal, which absolutely has to be at the core of anything like this. Our constitutional court will not allow such a statute, he said. I think they would crush it. The statute sets up incentives to take out content if there is any doubt. So there is an incentive to erase speech, and that cannot be upheld. The second point is the other side of the coin, because if there is just an incentive to remove, what about the rights of the speaker who posts the content, he added. So basically, right now, Germany is locked in this mad battle for free speech. And again, understand there is a world of difference between saying, I don't like Islam and I don't like Muslims. Let's go and attack Muslims. I don't have a problem with the second option, being investigated by police and penalties being handed out. I think inciting violence is dangerous. But it is interesting, isn't it, that the tolerant West allows, we allow radical imams to talk in London. We allow all sorts of crazies to get up and speak on Speaker's Corner. We allow communists. We allow fascists. They're given the platform to speech as long as we say they're not directly inciting a crime. There was a time in Britain, actually, and it's not that long ago, where we wouldn't ban people from coming to speak. We've started to do it more and more, most notably with people like, Louis Farrakhan. I talked about Diudon Mabala. So, Germany's got problems. Again, it's got real fucking problems. And the idea that a country that should know more about the oppression of its citizens' rights than perhaps most, one that did have one of the most evil and foul totalitarian regimes in modern history, is going to go down the road of saying, well, we will punish you for saying the wrong thing. We will punish you for being a political dissident. 5 years in prison for something you say on Twitter. I don't know. They might want to get a history book out. For sure. So my thoughts go out to all of my German friends. I know we got a lot of German people who watch this show. So definitely my thoughts are with you. I hope it doesn't go the way I think it's going to go. And let's just end the show with a fucking Darwin Award. I'm sorry if this is going to upset people because it's a recent death. But I can't help but feel this one could have been avoided, Sam. So while VidCon was going on and everyone was talking about YouTube and YouTubers again, there was a story about a woman who shot her boyfriend through a book on his chest to make a YouTube video. Right? Now, here's the problem. I'm gonna tell you about.
Obviously, read on the internet that a bullet can stop a Bible can stop a bullet or something.
Yeah. No. Here's the thing. On the internet, right. Listen, a thick book can stop certain low caliber guns.
9 mils.
At close range. Indeed, I remember a long time ago. I think I saw one of the micro Uzis being fired at someone who held up like a wet towel. And the bullets didn't penetrate. I'm pretty sure that's out there. I think that was when the internet had just been born, though. So, but certainly you can do this, but you might want to research things before you do. So they hyped it up on social media. They said, look, we're going to do our most dangerous stunt ever. They were really building it up, trying to get attention. Now, Mona Lisa Perez is 19 and pregnant with her boyfriend's kid, the boyfriend who is now dead. And what they did was they put a book on his chest and they shot it with a gun.
Bro, it was a 50 cal.
Yeah. It was a fucking 50 caliber Desert Eagle. One of the most powerful handguns.
You sound, to scare that book on him.
One of the most powerful handguns in the world.
Like, she never watched a movie. Surely you must know the Desert Eagle from something.
So
man. Like, as if you wouldn't test it. Should we shoot the book first before we put one in his chest? Nah. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
The attorney, James Brew, described the book as a hardcover encyclopedia, as if that matters to a fucking Desert Eagle, mate. It could have been made of fucking titanium. It would have still fucked you up. It's ridiculous.
It would have been a hardcover rhino. It would have been going through him and putting him down.
Right. The single gunshot was fired from 1 foot away. And they had a crowd watching as well.
Good.
So, free trauma for you. Yeah. Free trauma for all of the guests. Anyway. So, obviously, she's pregnant with a guy's kid. He's dead. He's out the picture. And now she's...
You have to tell the kid why you found this.
Yeah. Mummy, why don't I have a dad like all of the other gender fluid kids at school? Do I have a baba? No, I shot him for a YouTube video. Do we need the attention this badly? Look, we've been struggling to get to 100k subscribers because of all the YouTube fuckery. Meanwhile, I watch people throw up a YouTube channel for fun. Boom.
I've got this book.
Yeah, right? Should we get out an Encyclopedia Britannica and have you fucking...
I think you should shoot a bar at 50 cal sniper rifle at it, and I'll be like 400 yards away and I'll hold the book up.
Yeah, you fire a fucking, I don't know, some mad like fucking Spaz Franchi pump action shotgun into me at point blank range.
This comic book.
At this copy of The Punisher.
This wet Spider-Man.
Yeah, right. You do that, and then I'll backflip into a pig pen and start wrestling a pig with my cock out. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so she's unsurprisingly, she's facing charges of second-degree manslaughter. I have no idea how that's going to go, actually. Because what a mad case, because obviously, obviously he's complicit in it, isn't he?
Not like intent, but she probably does need some thinking time. Just some time to think about what you've done.
Yeah, look, the aunt of the victim said they did it to increase their social media following. Good reason to die, innit? What a reason to die. So there you go. So be interested to follow that case. I think that's going to be a good yin, you might say. And there you have it. That was I Hate It Here. So we'll probably just wrap it up. We're going to keep it short. Did you have anything that you wanted to add, Sam? Just anything at all?
No, that's it, mate. That's it.
All right. Well, there you have it then, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks a lot for tuning in. That was another episode of I Hate It Here. And indeed, that was the news. We wish it wasn't. Until next time, take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon.